They built 96 homes on land I legally owned. The HOA president called me a liar. The developers laughed in my face, but I had something they didn't know about. A deed from 1887 that was about to make me the richest person in the courtroom, and I let them finish every single house before I pulled it out. This is the most insane property revenge story you'll ever hear. It cost them $42 million. Stay until the end to see what happened to the HOA president. Subscribe to Neighbor Wars HQ for the craziest neighbor dispute stories you've ever heard. My name is Marcus Chen, and I owned a quiet 47-acre property on the outskirts of Riverside County. My grandfather bought this land back in 1952 for practically nothing. It was raw, undeveloped land that nobody wanted. Hills, rocks, desert brush. But Grandpa had vision. He always said Marcus's land is the only thing they're not making more of. I inherited the property in 2019. When Grandpa passed at 96 years old, the inheritance came with something else too, a metal lockbox containing every deed, survey, and land document dating back to the original land patent from 1887. Grandpa was meticulous, kept everything. Now I lived on the front 5 acres. In a modest ranch house, the remaining 42 acres behind my property line stretched back into the hills. I'd never developed it. Honestly, I barely went back there except to hike occasionally. It was my land, but I wasn't doing anything with it. And that's where this nightmare began. March 2021, I wake up to the sound of bulldozers. At first, I think I'm dreaming. But no, there are actual bulldozers tearing up the land behind my property. I throw on clothes and run back there, and what I see makes my blood run cold. Survey stakes. Everywhere. Dozens of them. Fluorescent orange flags marking out streets and lots. There are 3 massive earth movers, a grading crew, and some guy in a hard hat pointing at blueprints. What the hell is going on? I'm screaming. By this point, hard hat guy looks at me like I'm the crazy one. Can I help you, sir? This is my property. What are you doing? He laughs. Actually, LIUGHS. Sir, this is Riverside Meadows Phase 3 development. We have all the permits. If you're concerned about noise, file a complaint with the county. I don't care about noise. This is private property. Pulls out his phone, shows me some. Kind of zoning map. This parcel was sold to Meadowbrook Development Corporation last year. We've been working with the HOA for 18 months. Everything is legal. My head is spinning. What HOA? I never sold anything. That's when he gets his supervisor, a woman named Patricia Simmons. She's got that corporate smugness that makes you want to scream. Patricia tells me that the Riverside Meadows HOA purchased the land from the county in a tax sale, and they have every right to develop it. There was no tax sale. I pay my taxes. Patricia smiles, that condescending smile. Sir, I understand. You're upset, but we have all the documentation. If you have concerns, you'll need to take them up with the county assessor. We're on a construction timeline. I immediately drive to the county assessor's office. I'm there when they open documents. In hand, the clerk, a guy named Daniel, looks up my property records. He says, which is never good. Sir, according to our records, Parcel 447-B was sold for unpaid property taxes in December 2020. That's impossible. I have receipts. I pay online every year. Daniel clicks through screens. Did you purchase the property recently? I inherited it from my grandfather in 2019. More clicking. Then his face changes. Oh no. Sir, did you file the inheritance with the county? Did you transfer the deed into your name? My stomach drops. I thought it automatically transferred. No, sir. Inherited property needs to be formally transferred and recorded. According to our system, the property was still registered to, he checks. Harold Chen, deceased. When property taxes went unpaid, it was flagged for tax sale. But I paid the taxes. I paid them to the address on file. Daniel investigates further. Here's where it gets insane. The county had my grandfather's old P.O. box on file. When he died, that P.O. box was closed. The tax notices went to the closed P.O. box. They bounced back as undeliverable. After required notices, which I never received because they were going to a closed P.O. box. The county declared the property delinquent and sold it to the highest bidder. The highest bidder? Riverside Meadows HOA, represented by their president, a real estate shark named Mitchell Bradford. This is fraud. I'm yelling now. How can you sell someone's property when they're paying taxes? Daniel looks genuinely. Sorry, sir. According to our records, no taxes were paid on parcel 447 to before 2020. Did you pay taxes on your residence? Then it hits me. When Grandpa died, the property was split into 2 parcels. The 5 acres with my house, which I had properly transferred to my name, and the remaining 42 acres in the back, which was still in Grandpa's name, because I hadn't formally processed the inheritance. I paid taxes on my house, but the back 42 acres, still registered to a deceased person with a closed P.O. box, went into tax default. And these vultures knew I will hire a lawyer immediately. Her name is Sandra Kowalski, and she specializes in property disputes. I walk into her office with my grandfather's lockbox and dump everything on her desk. Tell me you can fix this. Sandra starts going through documents. Original deed, survey maps, tax receipts going back decades. And then she finds the original land patent from 1887, signed by the U.S. Land Office, granting the land to one Augustus Wilhelm, my great-great-grandfather. This is good, Sandra says. This is really good. This establishes clear chain of title going back over a century. But we have a problem. The county sale was technically legal under California law. You missed the deadline to challenge it? So I'm screwed? Not necessarily. But we need to be smart. The HOA and the developer are going to fight this with everything they have. They've already invested millions. Sandra files an immediate lawsuit, claiming fraud, improper notice, and challenging the chain of title. She also files for a preliminary injunction to stop construction. The Judge Robert Hammond reviews our filing and denies the injunction. His reasoning? The developer had good faith belief in their title. Stopping construction would cause irreparable financial harm to the HOA and developer. But what about my harm? I'm incredulous. Sandra explains the court believes money can compensate you if we win, but stopping construction could bankrupt the developer if we lose. It's bullshit, but it's how the law works. So construction continues. Every day, I watch them building on my land. Streets going in, utilities, foundations, frames. These aren't cheap houses. Either they're selling for $650,000 to $850,000 each. 96 homes, do the math. That's over $60 million in total sales. Mitchell Bradford. Let me paint you a picture. Mid-50s, spray tan, teeth so white they glow in the dark. Drives a leased BMW. He's the HOA president and apparently the mastermind behind the whole operation. Mitchell doesn't just develop the land, he taunts me. He sends letters through his lawyer saying, I'm attempting to defraud legitimate property owners and I should cease and desist making fraudulent claims. But it gets worse. Mitchell starts showing up at my house, not to apologize or negotiate, to intimidate. One Saturday afternoon, he pulls up in his BMW with 2 HOA board members. Knocks on my door. Marcus Wright. We need to talk. Get off my property. He laughs. See, that's the thing. We've done extensive title research. That back acreage was never properly part of your inheritance, your grandfather may have thought. He owned it, but there was a survey error in 1973 that was never corrected. We found it, we exploited it, and we won.
You're lying, am I?
You know what you should do? You should drop this lawsuit. Because when we win, and we will win, we're going to sue you for slander. For filing a frivolous lawsuit, and for attempting to extort money from hardworking families who bought homes in good faith. We'll take your house too. I slammed the door. In his face, but Mitchell's not done. He starts a whisper campaign in the community. Suddenly, I'm the villain. I'm the greedy guy trying to steal homes from innocent families. The local Facebook group is brutal. People are calling me a scammer, a con artist. One person writes, "This guy inherited some land and now he thinks he owns the whole world. Entitled much?" The worst part? Families are moving in. The first phase of homes is complete. I watch moving trucks pull up, kids playing in yards, people having housewarming parties. Us, on my land. And I can't do anything about it. Sandra keeps digging. She hires a title researcher named Yolanda, who specializes in historical land records. Yolanda is incredible. She finds records from county archives, state land offices, even old newspaper clippings, and then Yolanda finds the document. It's a deed correction from 1973. Apparently there was a survey error, just like Mitchell claimed, but the correction was filed. It was properly recorded with the county. It confirmed my grandfather's ownership of the full 47 acres. How did Mitchell miss this, I ask. He didn't, Yolanda says. Look at the filing date versus the date he submitted his title report to the county for the tax sale. He filed his report 2 weeks before this correction was digitized and uploaded to the county's online system, did a search, found an ambiguity, and rushed to exploit it before the records were updated. This is fraud. Clear, deliberate fraud. But there's more. Yolanda digs into Mitchell Bradford himself. Turns out this isn't his first rodeo. He's done this before in Arizona, Nevada, and once before in California. He identifies properties with title issues, ambiguities, or deceased owners, then uses technicalities to acquire land through tax sales or quiet title actions. He's been sued 4 times. He's settled 3 times. He's made millions. Sandra files an amended complaint adding fraud, intentional misrepresentation, and racketeering claims. Yes, racketeering. We're going full RICO on this guy. Mitchell's lawyers fire back with a motion to dismiss, calling our claims desperate and without merit. Judge Hammond denies the motion to dismiss. We're going to trial. September 2022. 18 months after I first heard those bulldozers. The trial begins. The courtroom is packed. Mitchell has hired a powerhouse law firm from Los Angeles for lawyers, paralegals, the works. The developer, Meadowbrook Corporation, has their own legal team, and there are representatives from every single homeowner in the development, many of whom are intervening as defendants because they claim they're innocent purchasers. Sandra has me, Yolanda, and Daniel from the county assessor's office, who realizes the county screwed up and is now willing to testify. Mitchell's lead attorney, a shark named Gregory Tillman, opens with a simple argument. Your Honor, my clients followed every legal requirement. They conducted a title search. They found a property in tax default. They bid at a public auction. They won. They received a deed from the county. Everything was above board. The plaintiff's failure to properly transfer his inherited property and pay taxes is not my client's fault. It's a strong argument. Legally sound. And Judge Hammond is nodding. Then Sandra gets up. Your Honor, this case is about fraud. Pure and simple. The defendants didn't just accidentally stumble upon a property in tax default. Mr. Mitchell Bradford systematically identifies properties with deceased owners, waits for tax defaults, then rushes to acquire them before proper heirs can be notified. He's done it before. He'll do it again. And this time he deliberately concealed a deed correction that would have shown clear title. Sandra submits the 1973 deed correction. She submits the timeline showing Mitchell filed his title report. Before the correction appeared online, she submits evidence of Mitchell's 3 prior similar schemes. The courtroom shifts. Judge Hammond stops nodding at Tillman and starts leaning forward when Sandra speaks. But Tillman fights back. He calls in the homeowners, a young couple with a newborn. Your Honor, are you going to tell my clients they have to leave their home? The home they bought in good faith? The home where they brought their daughter from the hospital? It's emotional. It's effective. Even I feel bad for them, Sandra counters. No one is saying the homeowners have to leave. They have claims against the developer and the HOA for selling them property with clouded title. But that doesn't mean Mr. Chen should lose his property. The trial goes on 6 days. Expert witnesses on title law. Testimony from county officials. Mitchell takes the stand and gets absolutely grilled by Sandra. Mr. Bradford, how many properties have you acquired through tax sales in the last 10 years? I don't recall the exact number. More than 50? perhaps? And how many of those properties had deceased owners? I'd have to review my records. Let me help you, 37. You've acquired 37 properties with deceased owners and tax sales. Isn't that your business model? Find properties with dead owners, wait for tax defaults, then swoop in. Tillman objects. Judge Hammond overrules. Mitchell is sweating now. I invest in distressed properties. That's not illegal. Did you know the 1973 deed correction existed? No, Mr. Bradford. You filed your title report on March 12, 2021. The deed correction was digitized. On March 26, 2021, didn't you think to check back? I had no reason to believe because you were in a hurry, weren't you? You knew if the records were updated, your ambiguity would disappear. It's devastating. Mitchell's story falls apart on the stand. October 2022. Judge Hammond delivers his ruling. This court finds that the defendant Mitchell Bradford engaged in fraudulent conduct by deliberately concealing material facts and rushing to exploit a temporary ambiguity in county records. The tax sale is hereby voided. Title to the 42 car. Parcel is restored to the plaintiff, Marcus Chen. The courtroom explodes. Homeowners are crying.
House.
Mitchell is white as a ghost. His lawyers are already talking about appeals. But Judge Hammond isn't done. Furthermore, this court finds that Meadowbrook Development Corporation acted with gross negligence in failing to conduct adequate due diligence. The corporation is hereby enjoined from selling any additional units and is liable for damages too. Mr. Chen. Sandra squeezes my arm. We won. We actually won, but then comes the hard part. What happens to the 96 homes? Families are living in them. Kids are in school. These people are victims too. Judge Hammond orders a constructive trust, meaning the property technically belongs to me, but the homeowners can't be immediately evicted. Instead, the homeowners have claims against Mitchell, the HOA, and the developer for selling them property they didn't own. As for me, Judge Hammond orders that I'm entitled to fair market value for the land, appraised at $8. $2 million punitive. Damages against Mitchell Bradford personally, $5 million attorney's fees, $387,000. Compensation for emotional distress, $500,000 total, $14.087 million. But here's the kicker. The homeowners can stay, but they have to pay me ground rent until this gets sorted out. The court sets it at $500 per month per home. It's $48,000 per month, nearly $600,000 per year. Or they can buy the land under their homes from me at fair market value. Mitchell Bradford immediately files for bankruptcy. His personal assets get frozen. The BMW gets repossessed. The HOA dissolves in scandal. Meadowbrook Development Corporation files for bankruptcy protection. Their insurance company settles with the homeowners for title insurance claims, but it's a nightmare. Over the next year, 42 of the 96 homeowners choose to buy the land under their homes from me. We work out reasonable prices. I'm not trying to bankrupt families. Another 38 homeowners join a class action lawsuit against Mitchell and the developer. The remaining 16 homes remain in legal limbo. I end up collecting about $11 million total after legal fees, settlement negotiations, and the sale of some parcels back to homeowners. Not quite the $14 million judgment, but life-changing money nonetheless. The best part? Mitchell Bradford is criminally charged with fraud and racketeering. In 2023, he pleads guilty to avoid trial and is sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. His law license is revoked. His assets are seized to pay restitution. I use part of my settlement to set up a legal defense fund for property owners facing similar scams. Because Mitchell wasn't unique, this happens all over the country. Predatory investors exploit probate delays, tax defaults, and title ambiguities to steal property from legitimate owners. 6 months after the settlement, I get a letter. It's from Patricia Simmons, the construction supervisor who laughed at me that first day. She writes, "Mr. Chen, I owe you an apology. I was following orders and didn't question what Mitchell was doing. I've since left Meadowbrook and started my own ethical construction company. If you're ever looking for someone to develop the remaining parcels properly, I'd be honored to work with you." I actually take her up on it. We developed the remaining undeveloped acreage into a small park for the community with hiking trails, a playground, and a community garden. I deed it to the county as a conservation easement in my grandfather's name. The Harold Chen Memorial Park. Mitchell's in prison. The homeowners that stayed have a community park. I have financial security, and my grandfather's legacy is protected. Lesson learned. Always update your property records. Right. Always verify the title. And never underestimate someone with a lockbox full of century-old deeds and the patience to let you finish digging your own grave. This story blew your mind. Smash that subscribe button for Neighbor Wars HQ. We bring you the most insane, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping neighbor dispute stories from across the country. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in this situation. And if you've got a crazy neighbor story, send it to us. It might be featured in our next video. This is Marcus Chen reminding you. Always read your property documents, folks. Always.